we're going to kind of put everything together that we've done in this chapter so that you have a little bit of a roadmap in case your boss or somebody comes up to you and says, I need you to do a survey about XYZ. So this way, hopefully, you'll have a little bit of an idea of how to go about that. So the first thing you want to do is talk about where will you find the right participants. You want to define exactly who the population is that you're interested in, and you want to figure out what sampling design is going to be best for the information you're trying to get. Once you've done that, then it goes on to writing the survey. And so, am I asking the right questions? You want to state exactly what you're trying to measure and give exact definitions of your variables. And something else to keep in mind is, what would I do with the answers if I had them? Would they address the things I want to know? So are they going to help me to be able to make policy recommendations or things of that nature if I had the answers to these questions? Once you have that figured out, you've written a really good first draft, it's time to do what's called a pilot study or a pilot survey. So this is where you're going to go and you're going to get your friends or a small sample, something that's easy and convenient to do, and have them go through your survey. And you want them to tell you, were any of the questions confusing? Did they wish there were different options? I've even had somebody come up and say, gosh, I wish you would have asked this on the survey. And I went, oh, wow, that's a really great question. And so I added that to the survey. So when you do that, that's called a pilot study. And the best way to protect a survey from measurement errors and unanticipated problems is to do that. Okay, by analyzing those results from the smaller survey, you can often improve the actual survey before you give it to your randomly chosen subjects. All right, some pitfalls to avoid. So one of the biggest things that bugs me about surveys is when they put the demographic data first. The demographic data should always go last on the survey. It should be at the very end because those are the questions that are no-brainers. What's your age? What's your gender? You know, what's your highest level of education? Those kinds of questions should all be at the end when the person is tired of thinking about the survey. You want to put all of your important questions up front at the beginning of the survey. Only ask what you need. The longer the questionnaire is, the less likely it is for them to finish filling it out and return it to you. Clearly define the population, sample, and survey ahead of time. So we kind of talked about that in the last slide. You want to make sure that you use the right sampling design. So this is something that's always concerned me as a student and as a professor both. We give course evaluations at the end of the semester. So these are all the students that are presumably passing the class or doing well in the class. But what about all the students who dropped or withdrew? They're not going to get a survey, and so we could be losing important information about the class from those people that withdrew. Ask specific questions rather than general questions. How many hours did you sleep last night versus how many hours do you sleep in general? Ask for quantitative results whenever possible. So as much as you can, you want to avoid things like a lot, some, a little, good, bad, poor, fair. That kind of data is just more difficult to work with. Be careful in phrasing questions. So how many members are in your family? Well, different cultures might define family differently. So you want to be clear about what that is so you're really comparing the results equally. Respondents might lie if they are embarrassed. So asking things like, did you have too much to drink last night, as opposed to how much did you have to drink last night? They might lie if they feel intimidated or insulted. So if you asked, was instructions for dummies understandable, or was that too difficult for you? Right? That doesn't sound very nice. There's a better way of asking that question. They also might lie if they don't want to offend the interviewer. So if a female interviewer asks, would you hire a woman? There's a stronger tendency to say yes when it's a female interviewer than if it was somebody of a different gender. So all those kind of things to keep in mind as you are writing surveys and working with that data. All right, so wrap up. You have the guided notes should be pretty much done now, so you can go ahead and upload those. There's a homework and a quiz. There are no data sets, so that means there are no graphs or anything extra to upload with any of these. Your new discussion board topic is about surveys. So this can be a serious survey, it can be a silly survey, it can be a great survey with unbiased questions, it can be a terrible survey. But you need to find a survey that has at least 5 questions, and then there's some things to do in terms of writing a post for that. And then exam 3 will be with chapter 9. So you have one more chapter before the next test.